Ty Simpson has been named the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's talk about what he has going for him that perhaps Jalen Milroe did not, and how Ty Simpson's story is one that I think many coaches will teach going forward. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Ty Simpson can lead Alabama to a national championship? Because that, frankly, is what he is going to be tasked with doing as the starting quarterback at Tuscaloosa, Titletown, for a reason. 6 national championships since 2009. Really, all of that has to do with Nick Saban and Nick Saban alone, to put together one of the best coaching trees that anybody's ever seen, and an unprecedented run as the best college football coach who has ever lived. Following his surprise retirement in 2024, Kalen DeBoer was tapped to lead the Crimson Tide, and he showed up with most of his staff, but missing one key component, and that would be offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. However, DeBoer walked into what was a talented program and then watched a lot of it go out the door, including all-world safety Caleb Downs. But many people thought it was going to be good enough with Jalen Milroe being a Heisman caliber quarterback. And he showed that. They knocked off a top-ranked Georgia and were the defending SEC champions coming into this thing, and looked for all the world like they were going to get back to the college football playoff last year after a 4-0 start that included wins against Wisconsin and Georgia before falling off to 9-4. Losses to Oklahoma, Tennessee did not do them any favors. And then that loss to Michigan was a little bit more deflating going into the 2025 season. However, getting Ryan Grubb back from his NFL stint with the Seahawks might be the thing Ty Simpson needs or has that Jalen Milroe did not, as Ryan Grubb was the offensive coordinator when Michael Penix threw for 1,000,000 yards, something like 4,700 yards, and led Washington to the national championship game against Michigan, the national title runner-up. And I think he's got similar tools around him. Penix had Rome Odunze and Jalen Polk and Jeremy Bernard. Ty Simpson's going to have Ryan Williams and Isaiah Horton and Cole Adams. I think they can be really great. He's going to get an outstanding run game with Jim Miller. And Alabama gets to go to a more traditional pocket-style passer. But one of the reasons that I think that, well, coaches will teach Ty Simpson's story is, one, he's a son of a head coach. His father, James Simpson, was head coach at UT Martin when he committed to Alabama back in 2022. And one of the reasons that he did was quite simply the history at Alabama and what Coach Saban had been about. He was heavily recruited by Bill O'Brien, who told him stories about being head coaches for the Houston Texans and coaching Tom Brady. But as Bill O'Brien left to go to Ohio State and then eventually to Boston College to be a head coach, Nick Saban retired. The entire culture around Alabama football shifted. It didn't change, but it shifted. And Ty Simpson had every opportunity to leave and hit the transfer portal, especially with Keelan Russell flipping and going to Alabama, with Austin Mack following DeBoer from Washington to Alabama. He could have absolutely decided, no, I came here to be the guy, and it doesn't look like I'm going to be the guy, given my head coach is gone, my offensive coordinator is gone. They brought in 2 guys in here to beat me. One of them they think is more talented, and the other one they know is more talented. But I'm going to stick it out. And this is a Ty Simpson who was starting games when Jalen Milroe showed his behind a little bit and threw those 2 picks against Texas in their loss in 2023. Ends up winning the job. They win the SEC championship. But Ty Simpson stuck through it. I think Ty Simpson also sees his story being similar to that of Mac Jones, who did not expect to come in and be the day one starter. He was following guys like Tua Tagovailoa and Jalen Hurts. But when his time came, Mac Jones, quarterback for the best Alabama team that Nick Saban ever had. The 2020 Alabama team is on the short list of the best all-time football teams ever. I mean that. Given what they faced in 2020, what we all faced in 2020, but the way in which they ran through the field of the SEC into a national championship with that ridiculous assortment of wide receivers. Jalen Waddle, I think, wins the Heisman Trophy if he doesn't get hurt, but that went to Devontae Smith, who had over 1,800 yards that year. I mean, golly, Najee Harris, monsters everywhere, all over. And Mac Jones was the guy that just did not get in the way. As a matter of fact, Mac Jones should have been a first-team All-American, perhaps a consensus All-American, perhaps a unanimous All-American. Had Trevor Lawrence not existed, probably would have been true. And Shout out to the FWAA who noticed that Trevor Lawrence had not made a first-team All-American program because he happened to play during the same time as guys like, I don't know, Kyler Murray and Joe Burrow. And that being his third and final year in college football, he needed to be a first-team All-American to be eligible for selection to the College Football Hall of Fame when his career ends as a professional. And that should not be for some time, but that's the kind of forward thinking you have to have. Mac Jones got his flowers, and I'm glad that Trevor Lawrence got his too. And both of those guys deserve to be in the College Football Hall of Fame for what they've been able to do. Ty Simpson's looking to follow all of that. He is going to be compared to Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. He is going to be compared to Garrett Nussmeier at LSU. He's going to be compared to Austin Simmons at Ole Miss. We keep going here. Arch Manning at Texas. But if he can play within himself and have his trademark reserve and his quiet charisma, I don't see any reason as to why Alabama can't be great in 2025. And they might have to be. You can't have another season where you miss the college football playoff if you were Alabama. In the year where it went to 12 teams, we thought that Alabama would be a shoo-in to the playoff, and they simply were not. SMU got in. Clemson got in. Oh my goodness. Boise State got in. Arizona State got in. But Alabama had to cry about it because they lost games they should not have lost. Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. Win one of those two games, you're probably one of those teams that gets in. And if Nick Saban is the head coach, you definitely get in. We know this because Florida State went undefeated, lost Jordan Travis in a win, and was left out of the 14 playoff for an Alabama team that had lost, but it had beaten Georgia in the SEC championship game, in large part because Nick Saban's head coach, and they acquitted themselves well against what would be the national champs in the Michigan Wolverines. I am really, really excited for what his journey is going to reveal and what other gems we're going to find out about Ty Simpson now that he's the guy. And you give him a good 2 weeks of lead up plus to prepare for their August 30th matchup against Florida State, where there's been some jawing. It's going to be a great litmus test for Florida State, who's coming off a 2-10 season, a year in which they were a top 10 team in the AP and then fell off in a hard way. Alabama, who's also trying to claw back. Both of these teams need the win. Tommy Castellanos wants Alabama. He wants to win in the worst way. Ty Simpson's going, hey, look, we understand Coach Saban is not walking through that door, and this is Coach DeBoer's team. I think as they rally around him, and perhaps as DeBoer has cut his teeth finally and decided, okay, this is what I got to do to win, you'll see that coming to fruition for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and it ought to be a lot of fun to watch them play up and down. I mean, they got games against everybody you would want to see, save Ohio State or Michigan or Oregon or Penn State, Clemson, but those are going to come if only they take care of business. And I think they got a guy in Ty Simpson that can 100% help them take care of business. Really excited for him. And I hope he celebrates this night. I hope he celebrates this day and puts his head back down, goes back to work.